Maybe you just found out that you have sebaceous filaments and not blackheads, or maybe that you knew you had sebaceous filaments, but you're trying to figure out, how do I get rid of them? I want to share with you some medical esthetician top products and specifically ingredients that you can look for to help get rid of sebaceous filaments and keep them gone. At this point, you know that they're not blackheads. Blackheads are made of the same bacteria that causes acne pimples, and they have this kind of blackened top to them, and when you squeeze them, they do look a little bit different. Sebaceous filaments can be really tricky, and a lot of people use like pore strips to try to get rid of them, because again, they don't know that they're not blackheads the way that you do because you're a skintellectual. But these sebaceous filaments are kind of these amber looking boogers that can kind of be sandy toned or white sometimes. And when you squeeze them, they're much more wormy than a blackhead, which is a little bit more waxy. Now, sebaceous filaments are different than blackheads because again, they don't have that P. acnes or C. acnes bacteria the way that acne does. And oils can actually get around sebaceous filaments because that's basically what it is. It's a sebum plug, essentially. And what causes sebaceous filaments is really based on your skin's ability to produce oil. It also depends on your genetics and how large your pores naturally are, but also your skin hygiene and whether or not you're using the right products in the right order. And because it's really hard, if not impossible, to change our genetics, we're gonna focus on what we can control, which is skincare. And I wanna share with you some of the best ingredients that you can find from any brand to actually help get rid of them and then keep them gone. So first we have to figure out, how do we get these sebaceous filaments out of the skin? You don't wanna pick or pull at the skin because that can cause damage. You definitely don't wanna use those pore strips. The reason those don't really work is because again, these are oil plugs and they can be a little bit softer and they just break off in between. And again, those pore strips can really rip at the nose. The best thing you can do is either use a salicylic cleanser that actually is oil soluble, meaning it goes in and dissolves the oil, or use something like oil pulling or oil gritting. This has really been a trend on the internet, and I actually tried oil gritting on my skin for 30 minutes with olive oil, among other substances, to tell you how it goes. One of my favorite products is from Dermalogica. This is something that estheticians use professionally, but you can also use it at home. It's like a 2-in-1 cleanser. It's really good. And if you didn't want to use this, maybe you wanted like some oils, K-Beauty has some good oil options. Skin 1004 or Skin Chonsa has a Madagascar one, and then Haru Haru Wonder has another really good one that I find are better for dissolving the oil in this area. If you do want to kind of massage, I would recommend using like your knuckles as opposed to your nails, just because we don't want to cause any damage here, and you're just kind of massaging these things out. Something else is that you can actually use a vibrating tool. These can be really expensive, so don't go out and buy one of these just for the sake of getting rid of these sebaceous filaments. But if you have these in general in your skincare routine, this is literally a tool that kind of vibrates on the skin. And that mechanical pressure and that mechanical vibration can help lift gunk out of pores. Some really good ones, I would say, you know those gold bars that kind of vibrate? We use them in Botox or in injections to help distract the nerve from the pain. I don't own one of those personally, just use them professionally, but if you have any of those, you could use those. If you have the Solawave, that kind of has a little bit of a vibration, that could be a good one. And then things like the Medicube, specifically the 5-in-1 device, it kind of vibrates on the skin, and that can really help to penetrate the cleanser and lift those sebaceous filaments out. But now, once you've got the sebaceous filament out of the pore, we need to put on something so that our oil glands don't naturally fill it up again. Think about like digging a hole in the ground. If you just dig up a hole, the earth is gonna put stuff in it, right? Leaf droppings, rainwater, etc. But if you say, I'm gonna go put something in that hole intentionally, like a lemon tree, well, the rest of the earth can't fill that hole because you just put something in it. And that's essentially what we're doing before these sebaceous filaments have a chance to, reclog up. Some of the best ingredients you can look for are salicylic acid. Remember, that's a BHA that's oil soluble. The Ordinary has some fantastic ones. Inkey List has some fantastic ones that are under $10. Also some great ones from Korean brands like Isntree. They have a chestnut BHA liquid that's really nice and lightweight, but as long as it says BHA or salicylic acid, it's probably a really good one. And as a bonus, if you look for something like zinc PCA and niacinamide, you can buy those as separate serums, or you can get a product that contains and combines all three. And the zinc PCA and niacinamide are fantastic because they can help regulate sebum production. Sebum is that oil that is not only on our skin, but that causes and clogs up with these sebaceous filaments. So if we can kind of control the oil, maybe our face and our oil glands will make less of it. And if it makes less of it, then there's a less chance that it'll get clogged and grody in here before the next time that we exfoliate it off with that salicylic acid. A product that does contain all three is the Bliss Clear Genius Toner. I absolutely love this, and I use this not only on myself, but I put it in routines for others. Specifically when I shop for people on a budget, it's always a go-to. But the Clear Genius Toner, like the fat water thingy, is amazing. If you just want niacinamide, like the Ordinary's niacinamide and zinc, that is literally like one of the best-selling serums in the entirety of America, and it's like $8. So that is another great option. But something else you don't want to sleep on are things like sulfur. Sulfur is great because it works on acne, and it can kind of help with sebaceous filaments as well. Sulfur specifically, if it helps to exfoliate the skin, can be a great option as a mask. Murad has one of my favorite masks. The only thing is that that's kind of like a clay mask too. So if that clay gets stuck in your nose, you're like getting rid of the sebaceous filaments, but then you have like clay pieces and you don't want to have to dig those out. So just be aware of that. But you could use sulfur from basically any brand as long as it's a good one. Another one that I really like is Derma E. They have some really good sulfur products, and then there are even some Korean ones. But sulfur is another great option that, yes, works for acne too. And on that note, we can't ignore retinoids. Retinoids are great because even though they're not actually going in and dissolving the sebaceous filament, retinoids help to speed up skin cell turnover, basically telling your skin cells at that bottom layer,
hey, make more of yourself.
And what happens if your skin cells make more of themselves? Well, that bottom layer becomes thicker, but it actually pushes up those other layers and they can start to flake off. And that's not exfoliation, even though it looks and feels like it sometimes. But if you're essentially going through this process with these retinoids in your skin, the skin becomes thicker and it can actually help even out the look of pores, which, yes, can also help control oil production in those pores and help you get rid of sebaceous filaments. It's not shrinking pores, but it's overall enhancing your skin cell turnover, which in turn can make your pores look less apparent. There are so many great retinoid products out there. If you literally search Cassandra Bankson retinoids, you can literally find it. But you want to know which retinoid you're using. If you use tretinoin from a doctor, that's great. You can get retinol or retinal over the counter, which is also really good. Or if you're super sensitive, look for adapalene gel. One of my favorites is from Acne Free. It's under like $15. This is great for acne, great for wrinkles. It's even good for pigmentation, and it also helps with that skin cell turnover for the sebaceous filaments. All of these are great. Now, something that people also kind of confuse with sebaceous filaments and blackheads, which isn't the same, are things like smokers' comedones. If you're someone who smokes or vapes or lives around someone who does, that can actually cause more comedones or kind of these blackheads to show up in the skin. But that can be something that is triggering these blackheads or sebaceous filaments in your skin that a lot of people don't realize. And that's just something to look out for. And you don't want to forget sunscreen. Even though not wearing sunscreen doesn't cause sebaceous filaments, protecting your skin from the sun can actually prevent your pores from looking larger and getting larger over time. As we get older, sometimes genetically our pores do get larger. That's why sebaceous filaments are more common when we're older versus blackheads when we're younger. However, sun exposure can literally cause the pores to open up over time and the skin just to be more damaged because there's not as much collagen or elastin because the UV rays from the sun, they literally damage your DNA. So sunscreen is more of a prevention thing, not only for skin cancer and wrinkles, but for large pores as well. And those large pores, the larger they are, can harbor more gunk and therefore more sebaceous filaments. So if you want to get rid of them, using sunscreen as a protection mechanism is a great way to go. There are definitely so many products out there. If you have questions, feel free to post one in the comment and I'll try to respond. But if you have concerns about these, now you know what to look for, what might be causing them, and what you can do. And if you actually want a routine for sebaceous filaments, I've built one right here. Make sure that you subscribed and hit all so that you don't miss it. But we actually have a lot of videos like that. So if you're new, then welcome, stick around. And if you're not, that is totally okay.
I wish you a nice time along your merry way.
And I hope to see you again on the interwebs sometime soon. But if you're a beautiful butterfly, you know where to find the hidden nuggets that we leave in all of the videos. I hope that you found this helpful, and I always hope that you do remember to stay hydrated. Where? Both orally and topically. Reapply that SPF. You now know another reason is because of the sebaceous filaments. Most importantly, always remember to be beYoutiful both inside and out, which also means educating yourself around these skin conditions and not judging yourself or others for them. Because again, this is something our body and our skin naturally does to protect us. We don't have to hate it or think it's gross if we understand it more. We understand its purpose and its function, but if we don't like it, it's totally okay for us to do something to try to change it. So beYoutiful both inside and out, and I can't wait to see you in this next video. Love you guys. Bye.